Hey y'all, I believe it's May the 13th, 2018, and I believe I just made a broadcast, maybe like 3 or 4 minutes long, in which people couldn't hear what I was saying. My technology had failed me. Alright, but I think that I'm back. Hopefully that you could hear me and stuff, man. God bless everybody out there for, number one, stumbles across these videos, but especially folks like Deborah out there, and shout out to Deborah. Alright, let me know when my sound ain't working. My technology fails me a lot of times. And sometimes, it throws a wrench in the operation because you get in a thought process, and you're just ready to go. It's like, dude, when you're ready to get on the camera or you're ready to live stream and stuff, you're getting your thoughts compiled, even if you're not really deliberately thinking about them. You're just getting everything ready to go, and you get ready to go, and then you go make a stream, and man, but people can't even hear what you're saying. It's just like, dude, I've been talking for like 3 or 4 minutes. I'm gonna have to make another stream in which I have to say the same exact stuff. All right. A lot of people have noticed. A lot of YouTubers.
Message from David. I still have those shades for sale. Man, smiling face with sunglasses.
Man, I gotta really learn how to turn off that setting. There's a setting, I don't know if y'all have it on your phone, in which the robot reads out the text messages, and I don't know how to turn it off. I gotta figure it out.
Message
I'm the one who turned
David.
it on.
Case comes with it too.
I can hear you, but can't see you. Oh, what? Deborah, what are you talking about? All right. What are you talking about? You can't see me? What are you seeing on the screen? Oh, man, all sort of technological difficulties. Thing is, I was going to say, that does throw a wrench at stuff, And I've been on particular videos, not so much live streams, but particular videos, well, sometimes live streams, in which I'll be talking about the stuff for like 15, 20 minutes. All right, and nothing, like, nobody ever seen it, nobody will ever see it. And it's kind of frustrating.
Message from David New.
Oh, I keep getting text messages. All right, nope, your business on the screen. Your baby's on the screen. Oh, dude, it's just got my baby on the screen. I know what you're talking about. It's that title screen or whatever that I made a long time ago. That's weird. So my camera ain't operating the way that it should. No, I don't know if that's a huge problem for the people out there. I mean, technically, it's just like, dude, I wonder, and I don't really ask so much. Do y'all even need to see my face? I know a lot of people, I'll watch YouTube videos in which I do enjoy seeing that person's face just because of the micro expressions and things that happens on their face. It's all part of the message that they're delivering. It's one of those things you wonder why, like, do people even need to put the camera on their face? Lots of times they do, I guess, because people need it. And then, off on a whole opposite end of the spectrum, a lot of people, they do talking and stuff, and they'll talk just like how I'm talking right now, maybe in live streams or videos. And a lot of people don't get it, but they'll have the graphics of a video game. They'll have the graphics of a video game in front of them, and people wonder, well, why are they talking and also having the graphics of a video game? I'm not like the authority on the subject, but me personally, I have watched videos like that, especially like Leafy is Here. There's been other people that they do it, Leafy is Here has been gone for a while now, and I'm going to look into that, I don't know if anybody else kept up with him, but he hasn't been doing stuff for a while. And the whole idea is that you add audio, which is interesting. Yeah, I'm gonna try to do me and stuff. I'll probably, Deborah, if that's all right. I'll see what you think about it. But I'll go ahead and stop the stream, and then regroup, and then start the stream again. Hopefully, it'll have audio and visual, something like that. I don't know if that's necessary, but But anyway, Leafy's Here, he would do that with video games and stuff, and it's actually it's interesting because his topic material would be very interesting and entertaining. At the same time, his visuals, which were gaming, video games, they were also very intriguing in their own right, and they're very mesmerizing and stuff. And so it's like technically there's this combination of people hearing and people seeing, that doesn't necessarily have to be congruent in order to be very entertaining, very mesmerizing. In fact, it's probably more mesmerizing. What in the world? Deborah, you can see me right now? Dang. I didn't even do anything. I think it's a large buffering situation that takes place because my technology is failing me. I see that I got 3 people watching me. Hey, y'all, man. Out of the 3 people who's watching me and stuff, man, if you can get in the comments and let me know if you can see me and hear me, see me and or hear me, that'd be good. I'm having technical difficulties. We're trying to work through them. But the thing is, that was not the subject material of today. As you can see on the title, it's more of, are we doing all right, guys? I would like to ask y'all out there, man, are you doing all right? Are you doing all right? Thing is, a lot of people, they'll say, either the truth or maybe they'll fudge the truth up a little bit and say, yeah, I'm doing all right. But lots of times they're not doing all right. And trust me, I know. Sometimes you just ain't doing all right. There's been times when I've been not doing all right myself. Don't exactly want to share it with the public all the time. But sometimes people do. There's some people who share it with the public all the time, but they're having a horrible time their whole entire life, and they'll share it with everybody that they see. All right. We got Ed Exclusivo up in the house. He says, what do you think happens after we dead? Any chance we return to this world or another? It's a very candid question, Ed Exclusivo. And, I'm glad that you brought it to the table. Me personally, I just cannot purport at all that I'm an expert on anything at all, or an authority, or that I know anything. But, from my experience, from what I've seen from out of the Bible and life experiences in and of themselves, um, who's to say? That's basically my answer is like, who's to say? And the Bible will tell you, man, you're not to say, we're not to say, they're not to say. People don't know, really don't know what happens. On a personal note, though, because I don't like when people just don't answer the question necessarily, people are afraid to have opinions sometimes. All right, from what I've seen and stuff, man, it's a big waiting room. Like people, they die, and that seems to be across the board. A lot of people know that people die. Eventually, going to die when you grow up. Out of being a child, you realize, man, we're going to die and stuff, and everybody dies, right? There's a lot of people who would debate that, and they would argue against that. They would say, actually nobody dies. It just seems that they die. It looks and appears as though they die, but they don't really. And I don't know, sometimes they mean that in a literal sense, or sometimes they mean that in a spiritual sense, like your spirit has no need to die. So a lot of people have a lot of different theories on it. My particular theory for today might change. It probably will change. Who knows? But it's that people, they pass, like their physical bodies, they're no longer necessary, so you might as well burn them up, put them in the ground. It really doesn't matter. Their spirit, however, carries on, and it goes, in my estimation, into like a waiting room. And it is Mother's Day. Happy Mother's Day. I meant to say that, Deborah, because I know that you're a mother and stuff, and happy Mother's Day to all the mothers out there. Extremely important, crucial. All right, that cannot ever be taken away. Well, the thing is, y'all nurture life itself as far as human beings on Earth. That could never be taken away. All right, that is crucial. All right, but anyways, to answer that question, me personally, people's physical selves, they die, their spirit goes on into something like a waiting room. And the thing is, you could interpret that from the book of Revelations as far as it kind of insinuating that everybody goes into heaven all at one time. It kind of insinuates that. You could look at it a little bit different and say, no, I don't think it insinuates that. But from what I read, ain't nobody in heaven right now. As far as having the official heaven where people think about going, it's like, all right, nobody. From what I've read, from what I've seen, from what I've lived and examined, ain't nobody in heaven right now. Ain't nobody in hell. All right, these are two places that aren't exactly occupied right now. And through all sort of like, influence and organization. People, everybody has an individual test. Every single person, and the thing is, it doesn't matter what anybody else does in your life, and none of it matters. Everybody has their own individual story and their hardships for them to either overcome or be taken under by them. All right, be made of the world. So nobody is in heaven, nobody's in hell right now until the final day, and the final day of judgment, in which I can't tell you. I'm never going to try to tell you, dude. I wouldn't know. But on that final day, everybody gets decided upon. And understand there ain't going to be no going back or changing things up. You did what you did. Either you passed or you failed. Either you passed or you failed. And at that particular day, everybody's going to go into heaven. Who's going to go into heaven? Everybody's going to go to hell. Or whatever you want to call it, the wastebasket of the universe, or just unnecessary, like it's going to get refined away. All those people, they're going to go to hell. It's no way for us as people, in my experience, to know who is going to hell, who is going to heaven. However, we've been given I guess, the discernment to kind of infer who might be going to hell, who might be going to heaven, unless they repent and change from their ways. Of course, without things such as the Bible or some sort of authority telling you that your ways are wrong, you're never going to change your ways, because you're not going to realize which ways are bad and which ways are not bad. All right, and a lot of people think, well, I can operate without a Bible, I can operate without a God, this and that. Well, all right, but you got to know which ways you're going to change about yourself, because you're not all the way right, you're not all the way perfect. I hate buffering, man. Deborah, I'm sorry about that. I hope that y'all are getting any of this. I mean, it's just my opinion. There's nothing factual about what I'm telling you. But it's like, everybody gets decided upon on that day. In between now and then, you say, what about those people and their spirits who are just in waiting to go to heaven or go to hell? What about those people? I tend to believe that their spirits, although it's not in a physical form down here in representation, their spirits are definitely influencing what's taking place today, right now, May the 13th, 2018. Their influences are definitely like, for example, let's use an extreme example, Bob Marley, something like that. Children still know about him. His influence is still carrying on, and his influence actually doesn't have a world to do with marijuana, stuff like that. I'm suffering. I don't know if I can. Anyway, live on. Their influences live on, and they will attest legitimacy in the final day of judgment. It's my opinion. I don't know. But the thing is, of course, if other people were to say, "Oh, we get zipped off to different planets," all intergalactically, the day that we die, I can't tell you that we don't. I really can't tell you. I don't know. Shit, I almost forgot that I got coffee, you guys. At Exclusivo, if you can hear me. Thank you for joining me. Be sure to let me know, y'all. Let me know where y'all are at. Basically, let everybody else know where you're at, because they're going to see the chat and the recorded video as well. And so they might be interested to see, which parts of the country, maybe which parts of the world that you're in right now and stuff. So let people know about that and stuff. I'm sure they'll be interested. But actually, at Exclusivo, the question that you brought up to the table, I think it's very relevant to actually what I had on my mind earlier when I started the broadcast. What I wanted to talk about, all right, his deal is more like, what about heaven, hell? What happens when you get out of there? And the thing is, it might be in reference to the videos that I've been doing recently that are pertaining to death row. People who's on death row, and I've been looking at all sort of videos, y'all. I know Deborah probably has been too, looking at all sort of videos in which, people on death row, they kind of detail what they're going through, what's going through their mind, what led up to this and that and whatever. It might have to do with that, just because they have impending doom on them. Like, they have a date set. Usually the date is pushed back and pushed back and pushed back like crazy nutballs. All right, forever. Like for decades sometimes. Doesn't make any sense. We might talk about that a little bit. But as far as heaven and hell thing goes, also my opinion is that heaven and hell, It's like some people aren't convinced that heaven and hell exist. And meanwhile, I understand why that is, but at the same time, I don't particularly even see through that perspective in the way that I'm convinced that heaven and hell exist just because I've seen heaven and hell here on earth. All right, so it definitely exists. If not in the afterlife, it does exist here. So to debate whether or not hell and heaven exist is kind of funny because I've seen it, and the thing is, I don't think I've seen all of it either. You know what I'm saying? As far as the most heavenly things that you can experience on earth, I don't think I've, you know, the most hellacious things that you can see on earth. I don't think I'm stuff that's like, dude, a lot of people don't want to see. You know, I understand that. Oh man, beautiful British Columbia, dude. Deborah, how's the weather over there? Massachusetts. Oh, dude, thanks for the opinion. Very honest. Well, you're welcome, Alex. Well, here's the thing, man. You know, if you have time, go ahead and let us know. What is your opinion? I'd love to get you like on a live stream, but if you just want to like, I don't even know how to thing is. If you want to leave a comment or something, opinion. It truly is. There's no, we can't prove what the hell we're saying here, and that's a beautiful, wonderful thing. It's all hypotheticals. Gorgeous weather over there in beautiful British Columbia. So I've never been up there, man, but you know, I hope that the snow is evaporating at this point, and I would like to definitely go up there. I was talking with a friend last night, and this is on a side note, skiing quite frequently, and he tells me about it. I've never been skiing. It sounds very entertaining. Sounds very dangerous, and I imagine it's something that y'all do from time to time over there in British Columbia. We were actually having a conversation last night. And the thing is, I'm extremely bad. I don't know if y'all know this about me. No more snow. That's wonderful, man. Y'all caught up. We haven't even had snow, and we don't have snow. I think San Antonio had an inch or two of snow this past winter, in which I was not here. And people freaked out. Just to let you. There was a guy who's from New Hampshire who came down here. He's working at where I'm working. And he was talking about, dude, he was here, and he's flabbergasted at the fact that people freak out. Dude, it's down 1 to 2 inches of snow. The city will shut down. We don't even know. We don't know what it is. But skiing sounds wonderful. You know, I mean, I'm sure if you go to the top of some mountains over there in Canada, there's still going to be some snow, you know, or some places there's still going to be skiing and stuff like that. Anyway, so I was talking with my friend from down the street, and it's a friend, you know, I went to high school with and stuff, man. We kind of go way back. And been hanging out with each other kind of recently. And he has a lot to say, man. He really has a lot to say. He's like most people in that he has got a lot to say. And you could tell that he never really gets to say it. He never has an opportunity to say it. I think a lot of people find me to be a release in that sense, you know, because I don't do small talk. I can't. I don't. So awkward. It is so awkward for me to talk about just the smallest of things, which most people do. And so lots of times I'll just immediately start talking about the deepest of things with people, and then they get to unload or they get to kind of unwind and they get to vent maybe a little bit. I'm not a big fan of venting necessarily, but they get to tell me about their perspective on deep things, on deep issues. And so we were doing that last night. It actually went a little bit later. Like, dude, I like to go to sleep a little bit earlier. We were talking until maybe about 2 in the morning, something like that. But the thing is, I'm not ever going to stop a conversation necessarily unless it's absolutely crucial. You know what I mean? And I didn't have to wake up early this morning, so I was like, dude, okay, let's talk about whatever you want to talk about. Towards the end of the night, he makes these remarks that I've heard a lot. I've heard it constantly, countless times, in which people are like, dude, thank you for having this conversation with me. You know, it was enjoyable. The thing is, a lot of people get very heated about their opinions. And I know exactly what he means because I've talked to a lot of people as well, in which, you know, because like I said, I can't small talk. I only really deep talk and stuff. And a lot of people, they get their emotions and stuff into their feelings, into their opinions. You know what I'm saying? And they get all emotional about it. And so when they find out that you disagree with them about something, they'll get all heated. They'll be like, "No, man, you need to see how I see it, dude. You're not seeing it correctly." They'll get all emotional, and you know the conversation typically stops from there. It sounds tragic to me, but the thing is, Every conversation that I enter into is like, dude, we're gonna disagree. I promise you. I've been on the internet. I've talked to people who like me a lot. There's been people who liked me a whole bunch and stuff. And when certain opinions come to the table, they're just like, oh man, I don't like you no more. It's like, okay, but understand, I already knew that we're gonna have differing opinions on something. Period. That goes for everybody out there. We're gonna have different opinions. You're different. I'm different than you. Neither one of us are perfect at all. So it's like, dude, none of us are gonna be exactly right on our opinions. People are gonna disagree. And when they do disagree, might as well just let it pass and not worry. So don't take it personally, because you'll lose out on all these conversations by being so emotional and stopping the conversation, even if you disagree on certain things. Like I said, I'll talk to you about anything under the sun. If it interests you, then let's go for it. At the same time, there are lines. There definitely are lines. You can't tell me everything under the world, because although I do believe in free speech, if you tell me certain things, it's really not going to turn out well for you. And I'm just here to say that it's really not. Most things are not off limits. You could say pretty much almost anything, and hey, man, that's free speech. We're going to differ. It's all good. All right, and it's just expressing to me about how like that's kind of crucial. I think it is kind of crucial. I think it is kind of crucial. I want to hear all y'all's opinions out there, especially the ones that differ from mine, because maybe you'll teach me something. Maybe we'll meet in the middle. I really don't know. Anyways, straying a little bit far from the topic. Y'all let me know if there's something that y'all want to talk about this beautiful Sunday afternoon, and it is Mother's Day, by the way. For all the people want to talk about something as far as in regards to Mother's Day. I personally don't celebrate holidays at all, like any holidays. I don't typically celebrate my birthday, so like it doesn't make all that much sense to me. I kind of celebrate everything on every day. All right, a lot of people would say it's cheating. I don't know. I feel good about it. All right, but especially in reference to the earlier question about heaven and hell, I think in particular that's one of the reasons why I'm doing this whole death row thing. That's why I've gotten into it, kind of. Because if you were to be able to look these people in the faces, stare directly at them, look at their story, know that they're probably murderers, know that they've probably done some heinous things and stuff. If you look at them long enough, you start to understand. You start to really be able to take in the sentiment that Jesus put across in that. The lowliest of the low will still have like good qualities in them. They'll still be likable on some sort of level. The reason is because you're looking into them and you're seeing yourself. You're seeing the likable qualities about yourself. And a lot of people will look at people on death row and they won't see anything good. They'll see a total monster. Complete 100%. Thing is, I'm here to argue that you're probably wrong. It's probably not 100% that they're a monster. It's probably the great majority of percent that they are kind of turned over to whatever, if you want to call it Satan or, that dark side or something like that. Yeah, that seems to be the case. It's not 100% though. All right. As for that case, I find it relevant to look at these people for what they have to say, especially when staring down the barrel, especially when like they're dying a few hours from then. It's like, well, might as well go ahead and see what they have to say. All right. On one of those personal notes, there's a lot of people who don't agree with the death penalty. And there's a lot of people who do agree with the death penalty, and I can see it both ways in a sense. Where I'm coming from, just to be on a personal note, where I'm coming from is that the whole system, the justice system, is messed up, dude, and that's by design. It really needs to be rethought about, and in fact, probably banished for the most part. There should be something in place, but it would look nothing like it looks right now. And that's for the entire justice system. That's not just talking about death row, but as far as death row goes, from the different people that I've seen on death row talking about it, or the people who aren't on death row talking about it, I personally, in my personal opinion, I do not see a point in it to especially um, drag out the sentence. If you sentence for death, dude, I don't get the point. And dragging it out to maybe 12, 13, 14, 15 years later, that's when you get the death penalty. I do not see the point in it. Because the thing is, first of all, it does cost money. And I don't want to be callous about it, but it does. A lot of money to keep y'all alive. And to keep the people alive who we say we're going to kill anyways. It's kind of weird, and it's kind of like, I'm not going to say inhumane because I don't like that word necessarily, but it's not logical at all to do that. It's almost like tormenting them. You know, imagine doing this to an animal or something, convincing an animal, yeah, I'm going to kill you. It's just only a matter of time, but I'll let you sit there and wonder when it is I'm going to kill you. That doesn't, it doesn't seem logical or practical in any way myself. Now, just to be short about it, because a lot of people, they'll find this point to debate on whether or not people should kill other people in regards to justice. Right? They say, oh well, this person killed a whole bunch of people, but you killing them, it makes you just as bad to kill them because you're doing the same thing that they did. In every detail, you're not really doing the same thing that they did typically. I would have to argue that, but at the same time, I'm not a very big fan of things such as the lethal injection or even the electric chair, many various things that they do. I'm not really a fan of that, and I'm definitely not a fan of them dragging out the sentence at all. All right, but I do look at the line of reasoning into that. A lot of these death row people will tell you, dude, if you don't kill me, that's the problem is that I'm gonna just kill again, dude. And they'll tell you straight to your face. I've seen a number of them talking about, dude, if I don't get the death penalty, dude, if they don't put me under, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do it again. I'm just gonna keep murdering. And so, with that logic in mind, I think a lot of people will start to see the reason behind. Well, certain people you just got to put under the ground. And they'll even tell you, dude, you just got to put me under the ground because if not, I'm going to continue to kill people. I am a risk. I'm a risk to people. I'm going to go ahead and kill people. So you need to do it. It's like, it's hard to argue against that to me. And so in my mind, and my mind might get changed later on down the line. In my mind, there's certain people, dude, you just done too much. And I'm sorry that you done too much. I don't hate you that you done too much. Like I said, I don't look at you as a 100% monster just because you done too much. But if you have done too much and I find out about it, you're going in the ground. And it's like, dude, I don't say that to sound big and bad and everything. It's just I can't fathom doing anything else. All right, so other than that, free speech. If you want to, like, for example, if you want to proclaim that perhaps pedophilia, could be acceptable, I'll let you talk. Especially on the internet, that'd probably be a safe way. I'll let you talk and stuff, and then we'll discuss stuff. But if you were to say 5-year-old, I know. All right, so there is a line that you can step over. Please don't step over it. But most people don't see people as 100% evil monsters and stuff like that. However, at the same time, even though you're not 100% evil monster, even though there's some good things about you, there's reasonably putting you in the ground is be best for everybody. All right, and in that same breath, I do want to say that killing someone necessarily ain't. And I said it before. I'll say it a lot until I'm reproofed about it. But the thing is, killing someone ain't the worst thing you can do to somebody. A lot of people look at it as that because a lot of people are scared of dying. Most people are scared of dying. Some people are more scared than others. I mean, just terrified about it. I seen this old man one time, and like I said, to this day, this old man was like the most scariest guy of dying. He did not want to die. He is like he was clinging to life with white knuckles, and it did not work out for him. Right? In fact, his death was like slow, and it wasn't. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't no picnic. His death, and I think it had a lot to do with him clinging to life. Stuff like that. Of course, here's the thing. I do also want to say, first of all, get that established, that in my mind, there's something about each and every one of these death row people who've done heinous things that I don't support or endorse. I think you should put them in the ground. There's still good things about them, and they still have the ability, actually, and honestly, the motivation to tell the truth. That's the thing about it. They really do. It's not to say that every person facing death is going to tell the truth. I'm not trying to imply that, but they do have quite a motivation to. You might as well let it all go. And I did want to talk about a little bit, y'all, before we get out of here on this beautiful day and go enjoy it. I did want to talk about such things, I guess, as motivation to tell the truth. It's like, all right, you notice that there are people on death row who do believe in Jesus. All right, you'll notice that not every one of them. There's a lot of atheists on death row and stuff like this, and probably everything else. There are a lot, and there are some, more particularly, who found Jesus Christ in death row while they were on death row. All right, and then they somehow got it into them that they got to tell the truth. That's not to say that everything that they say is gospel. It does need to be taken with a grain of salt, but it does need to be listened to as well. As people find Jesus Christ up on death row, I want to tell you that a lot of people look at that and say, "Oh, isn't that convenient? Oh, isn't that convenient? They know they're gonna die, so they might as well just do everything and hope and pray that they go to heaven and stuff, because there ain't no way out for them right now. So isn't that convenient that they found Jesus Christ on death row?" And I did want to talk about that a little bit as well. Right, and I guess Christianity in general, as far as the general populace goes. Right, it only makes sense, actually, logically speaking. It only makes sense for someone to get on death row and to find Jesus Christ there. Right, because what I want to, I guess, explore right now and ponder about is that, we raise children, especially if we're, if we've seen certain things in life. We'll have children, and we raise children, and some of the best families, are going to be raising children and telling them about Jesus, telling them about the story, telling them about that He's the Savior of us all, and that He's the Son of the one and only God, and this and that. And they'll train children up in that vein. And honestly, I am a fan of that. I'm very much a fan of that. But at the same time, what I do want to stress today in particular is that, the process of becoming, I guess what you say, a Christian, or I don't know what you want to call it, like born again or something, whatever term you want to use, the process in which people, I don't know what you say, break their knees, fall to their face. This process in which people say, "Oh, I've been born again. I've died away to, my old self, and it's actually a new self. This is a different thing." That process typically takes place during an event in somebody's life or afterwards in which it was extremely traumatic. Extremely traumatic. And the thing is, we incur this on different levels, and certainly some people have much worse stories than other people. But it's during like an event in life, typically, when a particular person feels like they've lost everything, is when I think that it happens typically, at least in their perspective, as far as what everything is in their perspective. Right, and that event in someone's life, they experience such a traumatic event that they feel in their heart as though they have lost everything. They were sitting on top of a mountain, you know what I mean, so to speak, and it was all taken away, everything. And so at that point, they realized that, I have nothing. Like we got a whole different situation here. I have nothing. All things that I was clinging to in my life and stuff, that's all gone. That's all out the window. All right. Lots of times, to one extent or another, we cling to, say, people in our life, or we cling to things in our life. And sometimes we even go to the extent of lying about it just to make sure, like lying just to make sure we can keep these things in our life. Like, for example, think about a middle-aged man and stuff, and he's not very happy with his life. He doesn't like what he's doing. He doesn't like where he's going with his life. But he lies to himself, and he lies to, his family, and says, "Oh, I'm very happy and satisfied with what I'm doing," because he doesn't want to lose his, children. He doesn't want to lose his wife. He doesn't want to lose the things around him that comfort him. He doesn't want to lose this stuff. So, he comes up with kind of a lie, like say, "Oh, I'm satisfied." Meanwhile, he might look to this and that as a drug in order to satisfy himself. You know what I'm saying? A lot of times we lie in order to keep things around us that we want around us. Or we live lives that aren't exactly genuine. That happens a lot. All right. When you say get to death row, or in another way, lose everything that was important to you, you start to begin to understand that these lies that you've been telling to yourself and to other people, they didn't get you nowhere. They didn't keep nothing around you. All the stuff you thought you could keep around you, hell no. That could all be disappeared in 1 second. Don't you even worry about it. It's all gone. All right, so you start to realize, okay, for all these lies that I've been telling, trying to make people think that I'm a normal person or blah, 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 or that I'm happy or I'm content, all these lies, they didn't get me nowhere. So I might as well just go ahead and tell the truth now. All right, because these people on death row, they a lot of times have nothing to gain. Nothing. So if you think about their motivation, it's like, well, yeah, y'all have nothing to gain by lying. Nothing, because you're going to go to death penalty anyways, probably. More than likely, 99.9% of the time, you're going to go to that chair anyways. All right, so since they have nothing to gain, at the same time, they really don't have nothing to lose at the same time. All right, what they have to lose on death row is very minimal. You have the most minimal amount to lose. So it would stand to reason, well, hey, you might as well just go ahead and tell the truth. The truth, by the way, is a synonym for Jesus Christ. And so how people find Jesus on death row, it just all stands to reason. But I did want to, I'm going to go through the comments in a second, but I did want to bring attention to that because, like I said, I am a fan of raising children up, teaching them about Jesus, teaching them that he's the most important thing. But at the same time, there is this process, unfortunately, because we have people who we love. So we got people that we care about and we want only the best for them. All sort of people out there. But we can't forget that there's this process that takes place in which people, they become closer to God. They become inseparable from God after a particular event when they lose everything, man. When they lose everything that was important to them, it gets snatched away. That actually it's called a tragedy or a hardship, or a curse or something. Something really bad happens to someone, and they're like, "Oh man, my God's forsaken me." Actually, that's kind of an invitation for you to get closer to Him. That's kind of an invitation for you to kind of rely more on the truth, because all these lies really didn't serve you anyways. All these lies, you just thought, "Oh man, they're gonna get me through. They're gonna get me through." No, they're not. These lies are a foundation of sand. Whatever way we can find Jesus, that is true, Deborah. No, I don't. Let's think about it. Whatever way we can find Jesus is probably the best way. However, that's a whole world of things that could happen to lead to people to find Jesus. I'm a big proponent. And like I insinuated earlier, I think every single human being on earth who's been born or who's about to be born, I think they're all wonderful, amazing creatures and stuff like this. All right, and all throughout their life, if they're breathing, I don't care what time in their life, if they're breathing, if they're still with us on earth, they all have the ability to repent from their ways. All right, and have the chance to go to a heaven that a lot of people don't believe in or don't agree with, something like that. They do, every last one of them, and I'm talking specifically about serial murderers and things of this nature. And I don't really want to talk about children too much, but there's people who do very bad things to children. And it's very controversial, but the thing is, I think they all have the power to repent. However, you can repent without telling the truth, without speaking up. You can repent, like say if you're on death row, and you can repent and you'd be like, "Oh, Jesus, please forgive me, blah, 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 it's bad." You need to lift up your voice. You need to start talking. You need to start telling the youth how wrong you are. The fact is, you ended up on death row because of your own actions. All right, that also is involved, not only on death row, but throughout the populace, man. If you know, there's certain things out there, and this internet channel has helped me, and in that regard, there's certain things that that you have on your mind, that man, you did things before and you did them the wrong way. You did things the wrong way, probably because you thought you could do it yourself. You know what I'm saying? You thought you'd get away with it. But in the end, you realize that you're not going to get away with it. And it only came back to bite you in the butt anyways. And so it's like, go ahead and, I forget what my train of thought was on that particular note, but it's a very touchy subject. Everybody has the power to repent, and that's why all the human beings I see are worthwhile. All right, because they all have the power to speak up, use their voice, even if they can't speak. They can communicate in order to let people know, it's a very complicated world. I think we might end up on that note. We're approaching on an hour. I think we're going to call it a day in a little while, but, people look at the world like this conversation I was having last night with this friend I was talking about. And people look at the world for what it is. It's very complicated. It's a very complex place. And they'll see certain things in human behavior maybe that they don't like. If you ever been in this conversation with a typical conversation, oh, this generation, they're lazy. They're good for nothing. They don't know how to survive, blah, 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 in the real world. The thing is, I wanted to kind of talk about that as far as people. Got this bird. Hold on. I got a little bit distracted by this bird. It's threatening me. But yeah, I want to talk about people, like I said, that typical conversation with the older person. They're like, oh man, the world's getting nuts and the world's getting overwhelming. I completely agree. It's very nuts. It's very overwhelming. It seems to be getting worse and worse. All right. In fact, that's one of my catchphrases. Right? Very complicated, very complex. It can drive you into madness, if you will, if you let it happen. All right, but that's also, it kind of leads me into something that I like to share a lot. These thoughts that we have. See, people's minds will be racing. One phrase that I hear a lot is these children out here, they don't know how to critical think. They don't have critical thinking. And I know exactly what people are saying when they say that. And I have to agree with you. They do not have critical thinking. All right? But even more so, more to the point, we put them in schools in which the schools literally tell them to not have critical thinking at all. So it's like, there's a cause and effect. You can't look at the children and say, oh man, they're lazy, they're good for nothing. We've just trained them up to be that way. So who's really at fault here? Is that's the perspective that I went and stuff, man. I know we can't keep our children out of school because we'll get arrested and stuff like this, but it's something to think about in the future. The fact is, these schools are just not doing what we want them to and stuff. Kind of letting us down in every single way, and so we might want to regroup and think about that. All right, but anyways, like I said, that sentiment that the world's getting so complicated, it's getting overwhelming, it's getting outrageous. These kids, they don't know how to survive. And this and that keeps people with thoughts racing through their brain. And I know I've had a lot of thoughts racing through my brain a lot of the times. I've experienced that a lot. In a way that's good. It'll get you to think. It'll get you to observe the world closer around you. In a way that's good. In a way. But it will make you mad. It will turn you into a mental patient. You will end up in a hospital probably. All right. I think at that same time, that's why it's very important to be able to be still, be able to step back from it. Know everything that you know, and know that you hardly know anything anyways. But see what you've seen, and don't let anybody tell you that your experiences aren't valid. You got very valid experiences in life, all right? Know that everything can get very crucial and complicated, and it can get overwhelming, and it can drive you mad. Know this. And if you have the opportunity to step back and just step back, take a breath. A lot of people, they don't think about breathing because it's just something that happens. But the thing is, if you concentrate on your breath and you concentrate on your breathing, you'll know that you can calm yourself down. There's all sorts of other things. ASMR, you can give yourself foot massage if you want to and calm yourself down. People don't realize that you really could do these sorts of things. Calm yourself down, and there's no shame in it. In fact, it's very necessary. Nobody can be on all the time in a way that you just spouting off about how this and that is wrong. You need to regroup in order to maintain your peace. It's very important. It's very important that you have peace. You can't operate unless you have some sort of form of relaxation and perhaps an internal reflection. You know, perhaps a moment, whatever you want to call it, a moment with God, maybe several moments. And this definitely involves, from what I've seen, just so that I can share, it involves you turning off your thoughts. Or maybe not turning off your thoughts, but just not listening to them. Maybe listening to them, but just not paying any heed to them. Not really lending them all sort of legitimacy. Like maybe you have thoughts that come up, and just understand you have thoughts and just let it go in, let it go out. You know, sit back to yourself, relax. And while you know, okay, all these things are happening that are bad, they're kind of retarded, they're kind of backwards, they're kind of ruining the children. You know that this stuff's happening, but at the same time, like for example, I'm staring at a tree. And there's many trees around here. If you go into the ditch, it's a wondrous place back there. In fact, you know, a lot of people don't know, and I don't know, it's just more recent, but if you go back in the ditch or a lot of places in San Antonio, you're going to see all sort of fireflies at night. It's a wondrous place. Right now, are chirping and singing and communicating with each other. I don't know how. I don't have no idea what they're saying, but they're saying all sort of stuff. They can't stop and they won't stop. The breeze is kind of coming through. It is nice. A lot of people can't handle when it's warm here. I don't mind it typically. I mean, it does get humid and whatever else, but right now it's breezy. It's kind of cloudy. It could be more breezy, but it's breezy enough. I'm sitting here. I got Bella. She's not entertaining, but people seem to like her. There she is. She's not entertaining to me at all, but I like her too, I guess. We're just sitting here, and it's like, dude, it really is perspective. You can look at me and be like, oh man, this guy needs to get some stuff together or whatever. He doesn't have this, that, and the other. At the same time, you look at me and know that I'm not straining to do anything. I'm particularly not really wanting for anything. I'm not in death row right now. I could very well be in death row one of these days. A lot of people don't want to believe it. It could happen. I'd say I'd do anything, but I'm sure there is innocent people on death row. Right? But I'm not there right now. And I'm certainly not there in my mind. You know what I'm saying? I really don't feel too imprisoned in my mind. Just for the simple sense of kind of letting it go. It's like, dude, with all these thoughts, you'll find that the thoughts will create a prison in your mind. All right, you might as well be an actual real prison. It's no sense in letting these thoughts take over. The thoughts are kind of beneficial in a way, but you got to be able to shut them off and stuff. They'll keep you up at night. That's probably not good either. The thing is, a lot of people, we're going to get out of here in a second. Everybody, you know, if they got final thoughts, Deborah, she's talking about internal reflection. It's so important. I believe so as well. Quiet times, man. Not only around you, but inside of you. A quietness. Peacefulness, just a contentment with what you have. You might not have everything in the world. It doesn't matter because you do have everything in the world that you need. Right? In order to grow closer, in order to grow closer to God. You do have everything that you need. All right? I wish everybody out there, you know, all sort of peace and contentment, you know, in this life. We might be made to do things that we never thought we would do. Outlandish things. Some people do absurd things. Some people, like we were talking about, do heinous things. And they used to be babies, these people. They used to not be like this. They were changed up. They were changed up. They were convinced to do evil here on earth. And that's terrible. And the thing is, it could happen to any one of us. We're not. I mean, we are susceptible to that sort of thing. It could drag us under this, I believe, practices that we could develop. That it'll kind of deter that sort of like anybody can fall if you're, for example, consumed by your thoughts. You're always thinking your thoughts. You find that it keeps you up and it gives you sweats and cold chills and stuff like that. You could be infiltrated by any sort of thoughts. In fact, we discussed there is technology. Someone could put a machine on your brain and start feeding you thoughts. Certain things that you could do, saying that you can embrace, I guess, that'll probably keep you from doing heinous acts and stuff like that. I believe a lot of these lessons are detailed in the Bible. However, you can get these lessons to not murder people, to not rape people, to not do any of these things. I want to relay to you that is in you. It's actually in your DNA, probably. You probably have ancestors who've murdered and raped people. It's probably in your blood. It most definitely is in your blood. You're a killer. I want to leave you out on that. You are a killer. Right? But there's certain things that we could do to repress that whole behavior and just, if anything, put it in like a positive aspect and stuff, that energy in our life. I mean, we are killers. At the same time, we don't have to be as human as that. We don't have to resort to this primal behavior of smashing people's faces in. We can actually rise above it and just talk to each other with words, all right, and have a grand old time, stuff like that. I'm gonna go ahead and sign off. I want to thank everybody for participating and stuff like that. I do want to see more of y'all's perspectives and y'all's opinions and stuff like that. I want to share. And I don't want to smash your face in. And I hope that you don't want to smash my face in and stuff. It's kind of a primal instinct that we might have towards people, but we shouldn't. We should probably just exchange words and stuff. That probably is what's most great about America. That and the abolishment of above-board slavery is really good. Right now, there's actually above-board slavery all up in Libya and stuff. A lot of people don't want to talk about it. They want to talk about slavery from hundreds of years ago up in the United States of America. But however, there's actual slavery is going on, and that's no good. I don't endorse slavery, you guys. Literal slavery or slavery of your mind, i.e. what Kanye West is talking about, just to shout out to Kanye West. Deborah says this. She says, I think it's important for every person to take some kind of self-help grow a group. Oh, well, okay. Self-help group. This is one of, for me, that I understood more and could function better. And Ed says, okay, thanks. Well, thank you, Ed. Thank you, Deborah and stuff, man. Self-help, that's true, man. That's true. There's a lot of self-help groups that'll get you in a lot of trouble. Like, for example, that Nexium, which turned out to be a sex cult. And that is out there. But as far as growing as individuals, I'm of the perspective that we just don't ever stop growing. All right, you got to grow. Every day of your life, you're not growing, you're dying and stuff, man. That's terrible. But we're all up in tribulation. I'm about to run out of battery and stuff. Thank y'all for everybody out there who's participated and who's going to write some stuff in the recorded thing. Happy Mother's Day out there to everybody. You know what I'm saying? I hope you're living it up. Like it's 1999, man. I'll holler at y'all a little bit later. I'll holler at y'all a little bit later. So I'll holler at y'all.